What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. Well, for today's video I have a phone that costs about $75. Yeah, very cheap. And this phone is called, so wait for it, AllCall Bro. Yeah, so this is the name of the phone. Me personally, I can't really take this phone seriously just based on the name. So for that $75 you get a very good looking phone that has dual cameras on the back, but that's about it because everything else about the phone is not that great. So for specs, we have a MediaTek 6580 CPU. This is a very old quad-core CPU. We also have 1 GB of RAM, 16 GB of internal storage, and surprisingly enough, the phone is running Android 7. Since we only have a 5-inch screen, the phone is not that big, so you could easily use this holding it in one hand. So I guess for today's standards, this is a plus. The back and the sides of the phone are made out of metal, and this makes the phone feel much more expensive than it is. So on the back there we have an 8 megapixel camera and a 2 megapixel camera, so we have a dual camera setup. We also have the flash and the AllCall logo. The power button and the volume keys are sitting on the right hand side of the phone, and they also seem to be made out of metal. And on top we have the 3.5mm audio jack and the micro USB charging port. The sound coming out of the 3.5mm audio jack lacks volume and bass, so not the best sound that I've heard. This phone also supports OTG, so you can plug in any USB stick and the phone will be able to read whatever you have on that USB stick. But unfortunately the phone doesn't support fast charging, so it will take you about 3 hours and a half to fully charge this phone from 0 to 100. On the left hand side of the phone you're gonna find a slot for the SIM card, and this phone can either take 2 SIM cards or a SIM card and an SD card, and the SD card can also be used as internal storage. Now speaking about the internal storage, out of that 16 gigs that comes with the device, we only have about 11 left, but the speeds that I got for the internal storage, well, they're kind of low. And lastly, all the way at the bottom we have the speaker and the microphone. Unfortunately the speaker doesn't get that loud and it sounds kind of distorted at the maximum volume. The front of the phone doesn't look as good as the back, but that's to be expected considering the price of the phone. We have large bezels all around the screen, but considering that the phone itself is black, those bezels aren't that noticeable. At the top of the screen we have a 2 megapixel camera and a speaker. Now unfortunately the picture quality from that 2 megapixel camera, it's not great. So no matter if you have a lot of light or if you don't have any light, the pictures don't turn out great no matter what you do. The 5-inch screen has a resolution of 720p. The viewing angles are okay, but not the best that I've seen. But the screen doesn't seem to get that bright, so whenever you take this outside, it's gonna be a bit difficult to actually see. The screen sensitivity is below average, so you can touch the screen in 2 places at the same time and the screen will register. Keep in mind that you may have issues playing some games. Aside from that, the screen seems to be covered by some type of scratch-resistant glass as well. And something that I wasn't actually expecting considering the price of the phone, in the home button we actually have a fingerprint scanner. Now the fingerprint scanner, it's not the fastest out there, so after you press the button it takes like a second and a half to actually unlock the screen, but for the price of the phone I think it's good enough. This phone has a non-removable 2400 mAh battery, and the battery life that you're gonna get from it, it's not that great. So you're barely gonna make it through an entire day, and out of that you're gonna get about 3 hours of screen on time. So definitely the battery life on this device, it's not the greatest. Performance wise, well, don't expect that much from that MediaTek 6580 CPU. So the scores that I got on the Antutu Benchmark and the Geekbench 4 are very low, and that's kind of normal for that CPU. Even like that, you can still use a whole bunch of apps. So for example, the browser works okay. I mean, not the best that I've seen, but it still works considering the price of the phone. On the YouTube app, the maximum resolution is 720p, and surprisingly enough, the videos do go quite smooth, but don't imagine that you're gonna be doing any heavy gaming on this device. The GPS unit inside this phone will find your location in 2 to 3 seconds, so not that bad, but it will get disconnected if you drive in between tall buildings. Now for sensors, the phone shows like it has a lot of sensors. However, I do believe that most of the sensors out there are faked, and we've seen this in the past with a lot of Chinese devices, so I don't believe that this phone actually has a working gyroscope. Connectivity wise, this phone doesn't support 4G connectivity, so you're only going to be able to connect to 2G and 3G networks, and we don't have dual band Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, the speeds that I got over Wi-Fi are kind of low as well. As I mentioned at the beginning, on the back of the phone we have a dual camera setup. So we have an 8 megapixel camera and a 2 megapixel camera. The camera app is the same boring MediaTek camera app that we've seen for a lot of cheaper Chinese devices, so we don't really have any options or settings in there, and the camera app is overall very slow. And since we have the 2 cameras on the back, the phone can also take some pictures with a cool bokeh effect. Now unfortunately the bokeh effect that you're gonna get from this phone, it's far from being the greatest. So The phone basically makes a circle around the subject, and everything outside of that circle is blurred out, but realistically the pictures don't look good at all. Even if you take pictures with just the 8 megapixel sensor, the pictures look kind of boring and a bit washed out, so really nothing exciting about those pictures. And if you're gonna take any pictures in low light conditions, well, you're better off if you don't take any pictures, because the pictures don't look good at all, and they're basically impossible to see. And lastly, the operating system. So at least they got that one right. The phone is running something very close to stock Android, and I have to say that it works better than I was expecting. So scrolling in between screens, opening apps, closing apps, it's done in a decent enough time. We don't have a powerhouse here, but it's done decently enough for the price of the phone. The settings app is very close to stock Android as well, but we have some added features in there, and some of them are actually useful. So one of them would be to wake up the screen, so double tap to wake up the screen, and another one would be to actually change the navigation buttons at the bottom of the screen. So if you want the multitasking on the other side or the return button on the other side, you can definitely do that from the settings app. So if you only have $75 that you want to spend on a phone, and you want a phone that looks good and has dual cameras on the back, I guess this could be a phone to get. But keep in mind, you don't get 4G connectivity, and the CPU used in this phone, it's like 3 years old, so it's very old, so the performance is not great by any means. So this phone, it's not great. Like, there is no other way of putting this. This is a very cheap and basic phone, and you shouldn't expect anything else. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.